Dan, first off, thank you so much. Congratulations on the victory. This is your fourth time or fifth time on this year, I think?
I think fourth.
Fourth,
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
I think we did about 8 podcasts on
Ballot
127.
Yeah, because you had Luke and
the Ballot Initiative, and then all that leading up to it, and we talked about it ad nauseum, right? But me knowing you personally now, you've become a friend, and I'm super grateful for that, man. You're I always enjoy spending time with you, man. You always make me laugh.
Likewise.
But I just wanted to congratulate you personally, man. Like we've never had a victory like this in the wildlife area when it comes to ballot initiatives. And I know you personally is what I was getting at. And I know that you're already on to the next one or the next step.
Yeah.
And I hope that you're taking a minute and just appreciating the victory.
Yeah, and I got to thank you guys. I mean, we are building a friendship up, and which is kind of remarkable because you start talking about politics, and that discussion kind of goes real short to most people. But politics that affect people's lives and politics that affect what people care about, like wildlife conservation and hunting and fishing and sustainable wildlife management, we found something that resonates with the general public more than what people alluded to before. And the friendships have been created out of that just by the professional relationships. I mean, without dropping names, the amount of people that have reached out to me and us of what we were doing and what we've done and then what are we going to do has been nothing less than remarkable. That you look at who calls me or who has emailed or who's walked up to me at a conference since the election or something, and you go, we impacted a hell of a lot of people, and we made friends along the way, and we made a hell of a lot of enemies with the opposition that we beat the crap out of too. So,
yeah. Well, I think more importantly to me, with this victory, it sets a tone moving forward that we're not going to be able to just roll over as easy or be pushed around or that our voice wouldn't be heard outside of the hunting community because the hunting community is so small. But man, this really set a precedent for the future for my kids. This is something I've been worried about, and I've tried to be a voice for that on here. And it was honestly kind of the basis for starting this podcast, even though it's turned into much more of a personal thing with whatever guest I have in here, and hearing their stories and their perspective and changing my opinions occasionally too on stuff. But really the basis of this, and I still heavy emphasis on this, is preserving, what we have and what I grew up with and a heritage that runs deep in my family. But I wanted my kids to experience that. That's why I still hunt today. It's one of the major reasons why I still hunt today. But this is a significant stamp to prove that it can be done. Yeah, and it all kind of landed on your shoulders, man. Like you were the face of it.
Well, and I had a guy call me on the way up here today that we see things from different perspectives. And he said, well, I don't know how you ended up with it. And I'm like, well, it's not because I just raised my hand. I stepped to the front of the line because nobody else was going to do it. When we created CRWM back in 2016 and officially formulated it in 2017, we knew that we were likely going to have some significant battles ahead of us. We were already playing on this landscape at the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Commission, the old Colorado Division of Wildlife before the merge, and at the Colorado General Assembly through the legislature. But we knew that we kept defeating the enemy every single level, that it was going to become a ballot issue. And if we had won all those other cases, all those other instances, who was going to be most likely to take on and hold the torch during the ballot initiative? There was no other option. And I need to emphasize that through this whole process, the partnerships that we gathered and the collaborations that we made were nothing less than remarkable in themselves. But those organizations were not formulated to do the advocacy work. They weren't formulated to do the fight. They were formulated to talk about conservation and prop up the North American model from a habitat and species conservation perspective, not from I'm going to get kicked in the nuts and now what am I going to do mentality. And that's why we did what we did. Our mission is to enhance, promote, and defend the North American model of wildlife conservation and responsible wildlife management, period. We don't have a membership. We don't have any fancy magazines. our fundraising banquets are just to be able to turn around and keep us alive. But we knew that for us to be participatory in this specific arena, we had to come in there with all the victories on our belt from before, like notches on a gun belt. And if we lost this, Colorado would sink when it came to wildlife management because of